This is one of Cluny the Scourge's online Rome Total War battles in the Alexander expansion. I'm playing as Macedon, and I have 2 units of Scythian mounted horse archers on my right, as you saw there. I have 6 units of Cretan archers, the best archers available in the Alexander expansion. I have 6 units of phalangists, that's very tough, very expensive phalanx infantry, which are the mainstay of the Macedon army. I have 1 unit of Alexander's personal bodyguard, which is a very strong cavalry unit, double strength in size, double hit points. 1 unit of companion cavalry and 4 units of royal squadrons, which are oversized, very powerful cavalry units. My opponent, Sparabara, is playing as the loathsome Dahae barbarians, and he's taken 4 units of barbarian horse archers, split 2 to each wing of his army, 1 general's bodyguard cavalry unit, which is his only striking cavalry, 6 units of barbarian archers deployed in front of his force, and a line of 9 sicklemen units, which are the toughest infantry available to the Dahae. So the battle begins and a missile duel commences. My opponent has deployed his horse archers on the left in Cantabrian circle very wisely. That will make it much more difficult for me to hit them. And he sends his archers in. I believe his plan was to try to occupy my attention with his horse archers, so that I would concentrate my archers against them, giving time for his bowmen, who have a shorter range, to close with my superior Cretans, which are much better in quality, and inflict the kind of casualties that he needed to have a chance of winning that missile duel. But I don't fall for it, and I switch targets pretty quickly, and since he blundered by having his archers advance at a walking pace to begin with, that meant that he was exposed to my archers for longer than was necessary without being able to return fire. I've inflicted heavy casualties already, and I'm pretty confident at this point that I'm going to dominate the missile engagement. Now, over on the right, his left, he sends his other horse archers to lend their support. However, I have horse archers of my own on that wing, and a horse archer skirmish begins. I set mine to Cantabrian circle so that they will suffer fewer casualties, or suffer casualties at a lower rate. He responds in kind with at least 1 of his units, as you can see there, and I don't think that either of us are going to do all that many casualties to each other, but it has the effect of fixing the attention and neutralizing the utility of the opposing cavalry there. The bulk of my cavalry, or those royal squadrons you saw before, are still hidden in the woods. They're my trump card, ready to strike at those horse archers if they decide to get too close and try to charge my foot archers. So I feel comfortable in expending my own horse archers in an attempt upon the enemy missile line, which turns out to have been a blunder. He responds with his general's bodyguard and neutralizes my horse archers pretty quickly. I really didn't need to do that, because my Cretan archers were clearly winning the missile duel. There was just no point in it. So I wasted those troops pretty badly. He sends his horse archers to pursue, and I react by pulling 1 of my cavalry units out of the woods to cut them off from the rear, and send another from behind my line to cut them off in front, and we squeeze them together and destroy them. He deployed his horse archers on Cantabrian circle there in the face of cavalry, which was unwise. On Cantabrian circle, skirmishing cavalry cannot pull back quickly enough to escape, and will be caught and destroyed. Now I go too far here and pull the rest of my cavalry out to try to catch the fleeing horse archers, which was a blundering waste of an additional surprise I could have pulled. Now here you see that my opponent's archers are pitifully few now. I'm drowning him in missiles. He's inflicted casualties of his own, but they're pretty much concentrated on 1 or 2 units. I still have untouched Cretan archers there. It really should have occurred to him by now that since I'm going to win the missile duel, he needs to attack me with his infantry. and with those sicklemen he could, with superior numbers of units, he could have split up his forces in the face of mine and teased apart my phalangists as I turned to try to meet him. So I sent all of my cavalry in to try to strike at the rest of those foot archers, and he reacted as I wished him to by sending his general's bodyguard and infantry out to meet me, and I immediately about-faced and pulled my cavalry well out of harm's reach. He continued with the pursuit just as I wished, and his army is now committed. Most of his forces are on the left. He still has a couple of sicklemen and his horse archers over on his right, my left. I'm pulling my cavalry further and further back. Now let's take a look at what was going on over on the right at this time. He has 2 units of sicklemen there. Those are tough barbarian troops. They're the heart of a Dahae army. He doesn't have many archers left there, as you can see, just 5 in that unit. And another line behind of about 12 or 14 or so. I've won that missile duel. I'm not even bothering to waste arrows on his archers at this time. I now send the bulk of my infantry racing over to the right to support my cavalry in the major battle I know is going to take place there, and the remainder, along with Alexander's bodyguard, charging into the sicklemen and horse archers who are positioned on my left here. I'm trying to achieve an encirclement there, but he's managed to catch my phalanxes out of their formation, and in a head-to-head fight, those sicklemen, with their penetrating armor-piercing capability and their superior armor, are going to cut those phalangists to pieces. Phalangists only work effectively when they're in phalanx formation. Now, much like Hiro Nakamura, let's travel back in time by about 30 seconds to see what was going on then. Back over on the right, my opponent charges his general's bodyguard into the rear of my cavalry, and I immediately mob him. He's now completely enveloped and is going to be destroyed in no time at all. His general dies. It's a barbarian army. They need to rely on the survival of their general for their morale. That was a key advantage I just gained there. Now, that's the bulk of his sicklemen in a huge crowded mass there. I send my infantry racing over to support my cavalry. My intention is to pen them in with a hedge of phalanx spears, Alexander's bodyguard, and the bulk of my cavalry on the other side. I almost came a cropper here because I failed to account for the sheer fighting power of Dahae sicklemen, which managed to rout and destroy a couple of my cavalry units there. But once the phalanxes have fixed those sicklemen in place, a right royal arse-kicking is free to commence. Their general is dead. They rout pretty quickly. I now massacre them without mercy. For they deserve no mercy. They are, after all, loathsome barbarians who try to stand against the power of Macedon. With about 5 parts in 6 of the Dahae army now destroyed, I'm able to rush the rest of my forces over to meet that other pocket on the left, and I will be able to bring to bear overwhelming numbers. He can rout a couple of my phalangists there safely, but he really doesn't have a chance now. What were my opponent's mistakes in this battle that led to his defeat? First, he should have taken account of the inferior range of barbarian archers. Perhaps he could have supplemented them with tribal slingers to give the extra numbers and rate of fire necessary to defeat me in the missile duel. Once he realized that he did not have enough missile troops, he should have sought an infantry decision by sending forces to the left and to the right to try to tease apart my phalanx line as quickly as possible. Alternatively, he could have sought cover in the woods, where his barbarian infantry would have received a combat bonus and protection from archers. So this final unit of the enemy, a damaged unit of horse archers, like a disgruntled postal worker, tries to take as many people with him as possible. Fails. I reserve the right to deal out justice to Alexander's personal bodyguard. Victory is mine.